Egypt denies preparing for temporary relocations of Gazans. Trump awards next-generation fighter jet contract to Boeing. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Daniel Bahardin. Qatar news agency Q&A reported Egypt has categorically denied claims circulated by some media outlets that it is prepared to temporarily relocate 500,000 Gaza residents to a designated city in North Sinai as part of Gaza's reconstruction. The Egyptian State Information Service, SIS, issued a statement on Friday affirming the falsehood of these baseless allegations, which fundamentally and completely contradict Egypt's firm and principled stance declared from the early days of the genocidal war on Gaza in October 2023. The statement stressed that Egypt has resolutely and definitively rejected any attempt to forcibly or voluntarily displace Palestinian brothers and sisters to any location outside Gaza, especially to Egyptian territories, as this would represent the liquidation of the Palestinian cause and pose an imminent threat to Egypt's national security. It concluded its statement by emphasizing that Egypt's steadfast and clear position forms the basis of the plan it presented at the recent Cairo-hosted Emergency Arab Summit for Gaza's reconstruction. This plan, which Egypt proposed to support Gaza's rebuilding without relocating a single Palestinian brother or sister from the Palestinian territories, was unanimously approved by the summit, the statement said. Despite strict Israeli restrictions, around 80,000 Palestinian congregants gathered for Friday prayers for the Muslim holy month of Ramadan at Al-Aqsa Mosque in the occupied East Jerusalem. According to Sheikh Azam Al-Khatib, Director General of the Islamic Waqf in Jerusalem, the congregants have arrived at the mosque as early as Thursday. They were willing to brave the heavy rain and the strict restrictions imposed by Israel. Some of the congregants remained inside the mosque overnight for a spiritual retreat in search of Laylatul Qadr as the last 10 nights of the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan started. They spread across Al-Aqsa's country yards and prayer halls for Holy Quran recitation and religious study circles. Thousands typically stay at the mosque for iftar and tarawih prayers later in the evening. Israeli authorities had previously announced the deployment of 3,000 police officers in the city on Fridays throughout Ramadan. Israel has enforced strict restrictions on Palestinian access to Al-Aqsa since the beginning of its ongoing war on Gaza in October 2023. The restrictions include barring Palestinian men under age 55 and women under 50 from the occupied West Bank from entering Jerusalem, preventing tens of thousands from reaching the mosque. United States President Donald Trump awarded Boeing on Friday the contract to build the U.S. Air Force's most sophisticated fighter jet yet, handing the company a much-needed win. The next-generation air dominance program will replace Lockheed Martin's F-22 Raptor with a crewed aircraft built to enter combat alongside drones. Trump, the 47th president, announced the new jet's name, the F-47.
The F-47 will be the most advanced, most capable, most lethal aircraft ever built. An experimental version of the plane has secretly been flying for almost 5 years, and we're confident that it massively overpowers the capabilities of any other nation. There's no other nation. We know every other plane. I've seen every one of them, and it's not even close. This is a next level. You know, level 5 is good. This is level 6, they say.
The plane's design remains a closely held secret but would likely include stealth, advanced sensors and cutting-edge engines. The engineering and manufacturing development contract is worth more than $20 billion. Boeing's win means it will make the jet fighter and receive orders worth hundreds of billions of dollars over the contract's multi-decade lifetime. The United States on Friday announced that Argentine former President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner and a former government minister are ineligible for the entry into the country after the two were designated for their involvement in significant corruption. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement that Kirchner and former Planning Minister Julio Miguel de Vido abused their positions by orchestrating and financially benefiting from multiple bribery schemes involving public works contracts, resulting in millions of dollars stolen from the Argentine government. The bar on entry also applies to immediate family members of the two. Rubio said that Kirchner and De Vido both undermine the Argentine people's and investors' confidence in Argentina's future. Kirchner served 2 consecutive terms as president from 2007 to 2015 and was vice president from 2019 to 2023. She has lost popularity in recent years as her legal challenges mounted. Late last year, a court upheld her conviction for doling out state contracts to a friend, carrying with it a 6-year prison sentence and a lifetime ban from holding office. Kirchner has denied wrongdoing and was expected to take the case to the nation's Supreme Court. French Prime Minister François Bayrou visited a Franco-German defense firm, Heinz factory in Bourges on Friday. War in Ukraine is forcing Europe to reinvent its defense industry, with Moscow viewed as a threat and the United States under President Donald Trump a more unpredictable ally. Bayrou told reporters he believed Europe was capable of increasing production and finding the necessary funding for it. For weapons firms, the likelihood is that orders will not abate for many years to come, giving them an opportunity to invest and develop for the long term while offering job opportunities in areas previously abandoned. KNDS was formed in 2015 during the military land systems merger of German family-owned Krauss-Maffei-Wegmann, KMW, famous for making Leopard tanks, and French state-owned weapons provider Nexter. The first planes landed at London's Heathrow Airport on Friday after an earlier fire knocked out its power supply and shut Europe's busiest airport for the day, stranding thousands of passengers and causing travel turmoil worldwide. 2 planes with British Airways livery had landed. The first arrived from Manchester Airport in northwest England, while the second came from nearby Gatwick Airport, south of London. Heathrow said its terms had worked tirelessly to reopen the world's 5th busiest airport after it was forced to close entirely after a huge fire engulfed a substation near the airport on Thursday night, with travelers told to stay away. Heathrow said there would be a limited number of flights on Friday, mostly focused on relocating aircraft and bringing planes into London. Britain's Transport Minister Heidi Alexander said that the power outage that shut London's Heathrow Airport was outside the airport operator's control. Speaking from her constituency in the southwest of England, Alexander said the airport did have backup generators. However, they were not designed to power the entire airport, only key critical systems. Coming up next, no decision on reduction of Thai tourist visa validity period. Thailand's Foreign Ministry on Friday said no decision has been made regarding the reduction of visa or entry measures for tourists from the current 60 to 30 days. The Director General of the Department of Information and spokesperson for the Foreign Ministry, Nikornage Balangkura, said the ministry has convened a meeting with the relevant agency to review results and effectiveness of the 60-day visa exemption scheme, which had been in place since 15 July last year. Additionally, Nikornage advised the media and other interested parties to follow updates on this matter directly from the agencies involved, namely the Immigration Bureau and the Thai Foreign Ministry. He also emphasized that any proposals made regarding the matter would need approval from the cabinet. Nikornage was responding to media reports on Tuesday, citing the Tourism and Sports Ministry that duration of the visa-free period might be reduced from 60 days to 30 days to address concerns about illegal businesses exploiting the scheme. Thai government has introduced a 60-day visa exemption for travelers from 93 countries in July 2024 to boost tourism and stimulate the country's economy. Several villages in Indonesia's East Flores district are covered in volcanic ash after Mount Lewotobi Laki-Laki erupted. Authorities raised its alert status to the highest level after the 1,703-meter twin peak volcano on the tourist island of Flores erupted for 11 minutes and 9 seconds on Thursday. Streets in the village of Lewalaga were covered in mud after ashes and rain fell on the community. One man was hospitalized after being burned when volcanic ash fell on the roof of his home, and he fell on a piece of burning wood, according to a relative. It was not immediately clear how many residents were affected by Thursday's eruption. Indonesian authorities said in November last year that it aimed to permanently relocate them. Indonesia has close to 130 active volcanoes and sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an area of high seismic activity atop various tectonic plates. At least 9 people were killed and thousands were evacuated when the Lewotobi Laki-Laki volcano erupted in November 2024. According to Yonhap News Agency, the South Korean Air Force on Friday suspended 2 pilots from air duty for 1 year after they mistakenly dropped multiple bombs on a civilian village earlier this month, injuring dozens of residents. The Air Force has booked the 2 pilots on charges of negligence, resulting in injury, and conducted a qualification review of the 2 pilots. An Air Force official said the suspension was decided as the investigation into the incident is still underway, and there will be another qualification review once the Defense Ministry completes its probe. In the interim probe released earlier this month, the Air Force determined that the pilot's mistake in entering the wrong target coordinates was the direct cause of the accidental bombing. Under the disciplinary review process, a person responsible for misconduct can face penalties ranging from suspension to dismissal. The Air Force has dismissed 2 unit commanders over their failure to give specific instructions to their subordinates. On 6 March, 2 KF-16 fighter jets dropped 8 Mk-82 bombs outside a training range in Pocheon, some 40 kilometers north of Seoul, during live fire drills, injuring 52 people, including 38 civilians. Sudan Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan vowed on Friday to continue the fight against the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) until the end, addressing crowds in Al Ghazira state. The Sudanese army seized full control of the presidential palace in downtown Khartoum on Friday, it said in a statement, in what would be a major gain in the 2-year-old conflict with a rival armed group that has threatened to partition the country. The army had long been on the back foot but has recently made gains and has retaken territory from the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) in the center of the country. The RSF has consolidated control in the west, hardening battle lines and moving Sudan towards de facto partition. The RSF is setting up a parallel government in areas it controls, although that is not expected to secure widespread international recognition. The RSF said on Friday, hours after the army statement, that it remained in the vicinity of the palace and that it had launched an attack that had killed dozens of army soldiers inside. Army sources said the fighters were about 400 meters away. our sports segment, Club Lyon removed from Club World Cup this year.
Hai, bersama-sama kami Awatar AI Berita RTM, saya Aaron Lim.
Dan saya Cik Rita. Musim perayaan ini kami ada sedikit pesanan.
Sebelum keluar dari rumah, pastikan pintu dan tingkap dikunci. Jangan lupa tutup suis dan paip air juga.
Periksa kenderaan dulu sebelum mulakan perjalanan.
Rancang perjalanan dan sentiasa berhati-hati ketika memandu. Pakai tali pinggang keledar dan elakkan penggunaan telefon bimbit.
Kalau rasa penat atau mengantuk, rehat sekejap di R&R yang disediakan. Atau berhenti di tempat yang selamat.
Pantau juga anak-anak kecil ketika berhari raya. Adik-adik, jangan main mercun. Bahaya.
Hari raya memanglah makanan sedap-sedap. Tapi makan kena beringat juga. Kurangkan makanan berlemak dan bergula.
Akhir sekali, pada hari raya ini, hargai setiap detik bersama yang tersayang.
Pesanan ikhlas daripada kami di RTM, teman setia anda. Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Maaf zahir dan batin. Syukuri Syawal.
Syukuri Syawal.
Club Lyon will be removed from the Club World Cup in the United States later this year as it and another Mexican club in the tournament, CF Pachuca, failed to meet criteria on multi-club ownership. Lyon had qualified after winning the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2023, while Pachuca won the competition last year. However, disciplinary proceedings were opened against both clubs, and the chairman of the FIFA Disciplinary Committee referred the case to the FIFA Appeal Committee. FIFA said in a statement that after having evaluated all evidence on file, the chairman of the FIFA Appeal Committee has decided that CF Pachuca and Club Lyon failed to meet the criteria on multi-club ownership. FIFA has determined that Club Lyon will be removed from the competition, with the club to be admitted as a replacement to be announced in due course. Pachuca's spot at the competition, however, was unaffected. Lyon said they disagreed with FIFA's decision and would appeal in the sport's highest court if they were denied a place at the Club World Cup. Lyon were drawn in Group D alongside Premier League side Chelsea, Brazil's Flamengo and Tunisian side Esperance. Six-time champion Novak Djokovic made his long-awaited Miami Open return on Friday and defeated Australian Rinky Hijikata 6-love 7-6 to reach the third round. It marked Djokovic's first time in Miami since 2019, and the Serbian fourth-seed victory was his 410th ATP Masters 1000 level match win, tying him with Rafael Nadal for the most of all time. It was all one-way traffic in the opening set as Djokovic showcased his superior shot-making from the baseline along with a lethal service game to make a perfect start in just 27 minutes. Hijikata refused to back down and his confidence grew during a tightly contested second set where neither player could manage a break, but Djokovic took over in the tie-break where he won the final 6 points. The number 86 in the ATP rankings, Hijikata was aiming to score the biggest win of his career, but was unable to convert either of the 2 break points he created in the match. The 99-time tour level titleless Djokovic is this week bidding to move clear of Andre Agassi for the most titles in the Miami tournament history. In the women's draw, former champion Iga Swiatek beat Caroline Garcia for the second time in as many tournaments with a 6-2, 7-5 victory that set up a third-round clash with Belgian Elise Martens, a 6-4, 6-1 winner over American Peyton Stearns. Swiatek beat Garcia in straight sets at the same stage in Indian Wells, where the Poles' title defense ended last week in the semi-finals, but faced a much more determined opponent this time around. Swiatek had largely repeated the strategy that had been successful in Indian Wells, despite the slightly different conditions. Swiatek powered through the first 2 games of the match without dropping a point, and then consolidated another service break for a 4-0 lead before leaning on her serve to secure the first set in 29 minutes. But the Pole faced much more resistance during a back and forth second set as she overturned a 3-1 deficit and then saved a set point while serving at a 5-4 down as she closed out the match by winning the last 3 games. The 2022 champion will next face 27th seed Elise Mertens of Belgium for a place in the last 16. On to motorsports, Elfyn Evans led teammate Kale Rovanpera in a Safari Rally Kenya 1-2 after Hyundai's early leader Ott Tanak hit mechanical trouble on the first full day of action on Friday. The Welshman was 7.7 seconds clear of double world champion Rovanpera despite winning only Thursday's super special opening stage and 55.4 ahead of Tanak, who suffered a broken drive shaft and lost more than a minute. Hyundai's reigning champion Thierry Neuville was lying in a distant 4th place and had collected 2 minutes of time penalties. Evans had a comparatively quiet time in the 8 gravel stages across the Great Rift Valley, but Rovanpera was applying pressure and won the closing 9th and 10th stages as well as stage 5. Tanak had built up a lead of more than a minute thanks to 4 stage wins, but lost it all when the drive shaft failure forced him to continue with only rear-wheel drive. Evans started the rally 3rd round of the season with a 28-point lead over teammate Sebastian Ogier, who competes only part-time. The 4th leg, which commences later today, will feature 6 more stages. Still to come in our offbeat segment, Mexico's Sun Pyramid draws flocks of visitors. Visitors gathered at the bottom of Mexico's Sun Pyramid on Friday, hoping to charge with energy during the spring equinox. Hours before the Teotihuacan archaeological site opened its gates, people gathered outside to watch hot air balloons rise from behind the pyramids during sunrise. Mary Lou, a visitor from the Mexican state of Guanajuato, who took part in a series of rituals, believes the place still holds the power of healing.
Que aprendamos que en estos espacios todavía hay sanación. Bueno, no todavía, yo creo que va a perdurar. Nos vamos a ir y el planeta va a tomar su curso, ¿no? Pero es parte de nuestra historia de sanación, de nuestra historia ancestral, ¿verdad?
The spring equinox occurs in the middle of March when there are equal parts day and night and marks the beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere. Thursday's release of action-adventure epic Assassin's Creed Shadows marks a make-or-break moment not just for struggling French games heavyweight Ubisoft, but for the entire European gaming ecosystem. With its almost 18,000 employees and global footprint, Ubisoft has nevertheless suffered one setback after another in recent years, with disappointing releases, a dwindling stock price, and repeated strikes. The company is falling back on its long-time major money spinner Assassin's Creed to pull it from the doldrums, this time with an episode set in medieval Japan. More than 17 Ubisoft studios employing hundreds have poured 5 years of work into Shadows, with an estimated budget running into hundreds of millions of euros. Shadows was partly developed at Ubisoft's studio in Quebec City, Canada. A poor sales showing could provoke a knock-on effect across the entire industry, noting that in France alone, Ubisoft accounts for almost 1/3 of the country's 15,000 jobs in games development. Nonetheless, Ubisoft shares had fallen almost 5.6% on Wednesday to trade at 12.6 euros by the time markets close, despite the good early reviews for Shadows. More than 50 cartoon dog Snoopy plushes wearing designer clothes from Chanel to Hermes and Balenciaga were on display in Paris on Thursday to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Peanuts comic strip. In the last 75 years, Snoopy has inspired several clothing collections, including from Gucci and Uniqlo. Some of them are on display at the Snoopy in Style exhibition, which opens today at the French capital's Hotel du Grand Veneur.
I think that just came about very happily because the plush dog is so cute that once one fashion designer made a costume for Snoopy, then other fashion designers wanted to join in. So there was a brilliant start, and it just, you can see it's expanded for 40 years.
Snoopy, the well-known cartoon character from the Peanuts, is a bagel dog created by American cartoonist Charles Schulz, inspired by his pet dog. Peanuts tells slice-of-life stories of main character Charlie Brown, his pet Snoopy, and their social circle of mostly young children. It is considered to be one of the most influential comic strips of all time. The Paris exhibition runs until 5th April. This year's spring got off for a flying start in Germany, with sun and warmer temperatures across the country. People were out and about in the sun on Friday, strolling in parks, chatting in cafes, and enjoying the first signs of the spring season. In Munich, locals gathered on the banks of the river Isar or sunbathed in the city center.
Also, die Laune wird auf jeden Fall immer besser, je wärmer es wird, würde ich sagen. Und hier am Gärtnerplatz zu sitzen und einfach die Blumen anzugucken, nicht zu frieren.
In Grisham, asparagus farm manager Bodo Monic celebrated the first harvest of the year.
Ja, das ist der erste Spargel des Jahres genau jetzt und dann fühlt man sich natürlich als Spargelbauer gut, ja, weil es wieder losgeht. Das ist eine anstrengende Kampagne immer, aber natürlich warten wir drauf und leben ja auch davon. Deshalb fühlen wir uns super und bei dem Wetter ohnehin.
Hong Kong's beloved panda cubs, affectionately known as elder sister and little brother, reunited with their mother Ying Ying in an exhibit enclosure during a media preview on Friday, a day before they greet visitors together for the first time. During the heartwarming reunion, the two cubs were seen engaging in close interactions with their mother. Ying Ying picked them up from time to time, wrapping them in a warm embrace. In an especially touching moment, both cubs nestle against their mother to nurse. According to Hong Kong Ocean Park, after days of careful observation and training by caretakers, Ying Ying and her cubs have successfully adapted to their new environment and can now move around together in the exhibit area. The park also said that this not only allows the twins to bond with their mother, but also helps them learn new skills from her. The twin cubs were born on 15th August last year to Ying Ying, who made history as the oldest giant panda on record to give birth, delivering the twins just a day before her 19th birthday. The panda family will officially meet the public for the first time today. And that wraps up World Today this time around. In our top story, Egypt denies preparing for temporary relocation for Gazans. I'm Daniel Bahardin. Thank you for watching. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Assalamu alaikum, salam Malaysia Madani.